Hoosier Trapper Outdoors is brought to you by Hoosier Trapper Supply, Leatherwood Creek Trapping Scents, HTS Productions, Hoosier Trapper Deer Scents, and Leatherwood Wildlife Art.
All right, thanks for joining us this week for episode 6, season 3 of Hoosier Trapper Outdoors. On this episode, we will have our usual Trapline diary. We're going to have a couple product highlights, Trapline tip, and then we'll also have a fur handling, more grading section on wild mink. So before we get started, I want to show you a few of the knives that we actually carry here. They're all skinny knives. The first one is the Cutmaster Muskrat skinny knife. It's been around for years. In fact, this is one of the very first knives. Well, it is the first skinny knife that I had back when I was 15 years old. They've been around literally forever. They're still made in the United States, Utica, New York. Both blades are the same. Excellent skinny knife, and like I said, kind of a mainstay in the trapping world. The next one that we have is just the Bolin 3-point skinny knife. Somewhat popular. You know, they are definitely been around for a long time, that style of knife. And then the beaver knife, basically, you know, when you're skinning a beaver and you're sitting there going like this with that skin, the idea being that you know, you don't have to worry about the point of the knife. And then you also, for those of you that actually take the time to clean skin, this would help in that. Just as a side note to that, it's way better to rough skin a beaver and then put it on a beam of flesh than it is to try to clean skin it. It's much more efficient, much quicker. We've got just a 5-inch skinning knife. It's actually sold in the butcher trade as a bony knife, but works excellent for opening up coon or coyotes or whatever. And I got to tell you, my all-time favorite, and we just came across these several years ago. It's a 3 3/4-inch Dexter knife. It's sold actually in the trade as a bony knife, but we of course sell it as a skinny knife. It's got a good handle. It cleans up good. The blade length to me is perfect. The blade thickness is perfect. Shape, everything about it I like. It's easy to sharpen, easy to maintain. It does not hold an edge forever, but you can bring it back. You know, you get a stainless steel knife, you know, like a buck knife or whatever. It's an excellent knife, excellent steel, but they're hard to sharpen and maintain. So to me, these they're inexpensive and they just make a good, practical skinny knife. To keep your knife sharp, we just kind of keep things pretty basic. We personally use a steel like this here. Does an excellent job, and you know, they take a little practice, but you can definitely use them. And then for those, we have these little sterling, you can either mount them on the edge of a bench or hold them in your hand, kind of a no-brainer type knife sharpener, and you run your knife through the file edges right there. So anyways, that's kind of what we have available in the way of skinny knives, and they've all proven themselves over the years. Anyways, I hope you enjoy the show this week. Check day 7. Started checking traps in the dark. This morning we're kind of on a push to get things up and going and pulling traps, so a little more time consuming. Heading home today. So far today is a repeat of yesterday's at this point, with nothing caught. We didn't catch anything, really not much action at all. So we've got two more small places to check, and then we'll meet up with our Arkansas buddies, and maybe they've done some good too. They're actually pulling traps too. So, anyways, we'll see how the rest of the day plays out. And sun's up. It's cold. It's 15 degrees actually right now. So definitely a cold start to the day, but the wind's not blowing like it was yesterday, so it's a lot more tolerable. Anyways, keep you updated and let you know what's up. What's up?
watching comedy on
Justin Jet's Instagram.
Yeah. Anything?
nothing. What y'all?
Goose egg.
Goose egg. You bet.
Yesterday was like this and turned out to be okay at the end. So
Yeah.
let's go get them.
Let's get 'em.
All right, Jared. What happened here?
Last day on the check line or the trap line with the Hoosier boys.
Pulling traps.
We've been pulling a bunch of empty traps and finally connected the gray right here. This is where I caught one the other day we had to hunt for, but pretty excited.
All right. Typical scenario, check day 7. Main road right here, main fire or Forest Service road. Got a fire trail coming up into the woods that's blocked off. Got the point right here, got the coyote sitting right here. So classic location. Jared had it set across the road, but this is the one that connected. So
Good
cool.
job.
Yep.
All right, we got this main road we've been traveling all day. We decided to stop right here. A little extra added feature here. We got this tall sage grass, buffalo grass, whatever you want to call it. It's kind of bushy, and we're hoping cats and grays and things like that are hunting for prey. And coyote come along and got in there, so we'll take him too, just as good. Top dog predator bait. Got him held down there in a #2 coil, and it did the job. So he's even got a split ear. He must have got into something. You see it?
Yep, he did.
All right.
Cool. All right, we got pretty awesome location here. We got coyote here, obviously, and then if you look right down there, and we'll see if we can get it moving here. There's a coyote just right down there. So basically, a double that you can see both of them at the same time. There he goes. Right along the road, we got an added fire trail here, or Forest Service road, and we had a set back there, and the coyote, Jared had said, and the coyote just lucked out and just missed the pan, just got lucky, didn't step in the right place. So these are probably the same 2 coyotes that were missed back there. So, but anyways, we got them covered here, and this stuff, they run big areas. So who knows how many miles these coyotes will run, and how many traps that they possibly have already passed or came by. But anyways, we snagged 2 of them here. So
Congratulations.
We're definitely on a coyote run here.
One thing we do when we get a double on coyotes, we chest bump.
Let's go! Don't get bit.
That was close to the dog.
Yeah.
All right, this is that coyote down the road a little bit from the double that me and Charlie just connected on. A little bit better view of him. He's a big one. He's been eating good, probably on deer carcasses and who knows what else the hunter's been throwing out here. But yeah, connected on the old road right here, and it cuts into a nice big open clear cut here. So it's kind of the connection point here for them to either come up out of the bottom and run the edge, or they're already just running the top of this road to begin with. So it's a good location. This is in one of them big dog traps. All right, we got this coyote here. Not sure how many days. What, 3rd check day here?
3rd check day on this spot, yeah.
3rd on this spot. Got this old gravel road here that feeds in here to creek crossing here, and figured it'd be a great location for things running the ditch line. It's real brushy around here, so it looked like a great location right here at the edge of this concrete slab. But 3rd check day, we got him, and he's not coming out of that.
Darren,
You're gonna be skinning a coyote.
double cow. Hey, can we do a chest pump?
Oh!
Oh yeah. Good job, Taryn. First cow.
On a double.
All right.
Taryn, good job.
Thank you. Got him coyote up there.
Charlie, you set this one, right?
Yep, I set this one right here on the end of the road, basically the dead end road.
Awesome.
Mr. Taryn.
Darren,
Set me a trap up there.
walk me down.
There we go.
There you go.
He's talking to her.
Alright. Charlie had him sit down there. I decided I'd come up here. First day I had track right in the center of it. Looks like it paid off today. First coyote and 1 3/4 trap. Duke. Pretty good day.
First coyote ever. Congratulations, Taryn. You're over the hump.
Yeah. Here you go.
One thing about this double right here, this is the last trap that Taryn has set, and we're pulling today. And this is the very last one that he set, and the one down there that I've got the coyote in, that's the last trap that I set. Jared's got 2 more traps to set or check, and we're done. So what a way to end it for the 2 of us, and hopefully Jared can end his on a high note too. So anyways, very cool. As we say, last trap's as good as the first one. All right, and to check day 7, last day pulling traps. The coyote carnage day, 7 coyotes, 7th check day. The coyotes are dead, and we had a great day. With still no spotted cats. It definitely turned into a coyote trip, but that's fine too. And we had a great time. The weather's been great, great company, and Taryn caught his first coyote. Last trap just a few minutes ago. So yeah, awesome. Congratulations, Taryn. So anyways, hopefully we saved a few turkeys, a few fawn deer, and anyways, it's been a good time. Anything you want to add to that?
Just had a blast, and
Yep.
we got a lot of skinning to do. I know that much.
Yeah.
Had fun trapping with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's fun.
it's been great.
Yeah, had a great time.
Aaron, congrats on your fox and coyote.
Very cool. Very cool. Yep.
Nice to have you all here.
Yep. Well, thank you. Good Arkansas hospitality. So,
Hopefully we'll see y'all next year.
Oh yeah.
yeah, do it again.
So,
yep, 1 year from now, we'll do it again.
Got the skin and crew going.
All right, for this week's trapline tip, I'm going to talk about 4-coil traps. And this is kind of one of those not to do and to do. In my view, 4-coil traps are overused. There's too many people buying 4-coil traps and you just don't need them. They, quite frankly, don't fit into the BMP management, best management practice recommendations in most cases. So most traps are more than adequate with the springs that they come with, and you don't need to jump up to the 4-coil. And I fully realize that they do offer traps with 4-coils on them. 4-coil traps are good when the ground starts to want to freeze, so that you got a little more power to come up through that frozen ground. But that's one of the instances that you may possibly consider it. The other is if you were trapping mountain lions or something like that, or wolves, then clearly you're going to want that extra power. But they may be slightly faster with 4-coils, but generally you just don't need it if you have your trap properly set and bedded properly. You don't need that. So like I said, it doesn't really fit into the BMP recommendations. I think quite frankly, when we're out trapping and we've got a number of traps, and we do have some that are 4-coiled, when we pick one up that's 4-coiled, we normally put it back down and grab one that's 2-coiled. And I mean, if you set traps literally all day long, they will absolutely wear you out. And you can use the setters and all that kind of stuff, but first off, if you really don't need it, then why fight and wrestle that trap all day long? So anyways, I'm not a huge advocate of 4-coil traps, particularly in open ground trapping. Over the years, your traps will get weaker, and this is just the basic number 2 bridger. And what a good idea or a good reference to see where your traps are at is to take the trap and set it 3, 4, 5 years down the road, and then compare it to a new version. and that will give you an idea of how much strength your trap has possibly lost. So, if you've gotten that situation where you feel like the trap has lost a fair amount of power, then at that point, yeah, 4-coil by all means. And the traps that have the long spring pins on them that come out like this, and you can cut these back a little bit and you can actually bend them down, but they're quite easy to 4-coil. So basically, you're just slipping that coil on there, and you slip one on you got a left and right spring, and you slip those on like that. All right, this tool right here, it's basically a beaver spring installation tool. It's just a rod, and it's got a hole in the bottom of it, and that makes it really easy to 4-coil these. Once you get them on there, like I said, it's left and right, and that just pops those in place like that. Then you actually bend this tip down a little bit, and that'll keep those on there better, but it's really not necessary to completely do that, but you can definitely cut these a little bit shorter. So the pressure of the spring, of course, is holding the upper part of the spring in the groove, and then the way the frame of the trap is down here. But like I said, I only recommend this really as your traps weaken over time, or if you're using traps in extremely cold weather where the ground's wanting to freeze. Traps, out of the box, basically are designed for the springs that are on it, and you can certainly add them, but generally, most of the time, you just don't need them. There were traps in the past years where, when you 4-coiled them, for people that thought that they just needed that, the trap itself could not take that additional pressure. It actually would buckle the trap somewhat, bend it. So clearly there's an example of that trap's designed for the pressure of the spring that came with. So anyways, it's something to think about, and a good comparative point. Compare your used trap to a new trap and kind of see where you're at, and then I would decide on the 4-coils. But just to come in, and our season here in Indiana actually opens 2 days prior to the show. It opens October 15th. Now that's too early to be trapping, the fur's not ready, but for those of you that actually do go out and trap that early, there is no way you need that 4-coil trap. So anyways, that's kind of our tip for the week, something to think about. And like I said, it's kind of one of those things that I don't think we need to fully do until the trap actually needs it. All right, for a second trapline tip for this show, I want to show you the drags that we have. What we carry are just the basic steel rod drags. This one being for fox and coon. To be honest, we don't sell a lot of these, and I would be very careful where I would use something like this. If you by chance caught a larger animal like coyotes, and there's hardly anywhere that in the country that you couldn't potentially catch a coyote, it's a pretty risky drag as far as something getting away. If you pre-wrapped with it, in other words, you put on a coon, you'd probably put 6 to 8 foot of chain on here. If you actually took the drag and the chain and wrapped it around a sapling or something, and then had the drag right there, essentially kind of like a tie-off cable, but using a drag and a chain, then you could probably get by with it. But that's still risky with coyotes. So if you're setting and you're certain that you're not going to catch something like that, then this drag would be fine. Drags, you do have to be very responsible. How you're setting them, how you're using them. You don't want to lose any animals. So anyways, but they do definitely have their place. The next drag, basically the same version of that, but a bigger rod, 3/8 inch rod, I believe, smooth rod, and these are for fox and coyotes primarily, and bobcats. And we do use this drag. Here again, this drag you got to be careful with. If you are not in a lot of brush, then this drag is probably not a great choice. On our canine drags, we typically put around 12 foot of chain. The longer the chain, the better. They're going to hang up quicker. The only reason that we use a drag, basically there's two, and I've said this in the past, is if you can't get a stake in the ground's too hard or too rocky, or if you want the animal off location. In other words, if it was caught and it would be in view of the road or whatever, then we use a drag so that the animal can get off in the brush and not be seen by passing vehicles or whatever. So here again, this drag, you have to be responsible and how you use it, where you use it. You certainly don't want an animal taken off and not getting hung up, and you're just basically looking for hours trying to find it. So, but it does have its place on the line. So we've got these here. They're made by Rich Casper out of Nebraska. And this is a good heavy drag. It's over 3 pounds. It's got the good angles on it where it's going to really hang up. This one right here is pretty safe. Clearly I wouldn't set it in a soybean field or something of that nature, but you know, in good heavy brush, it's not going to have any trouble getting hung up. Here again, you want to use you know, 12 foot of chain on this drag, and as I said, the longer the chain, the more likely it is to hang up, and this will hold virtually anything. So for those of you that have seen some of our past episodes, we use a lot of these, particularly when we're down south. A lot of drags in general when we're down south, just because of the rock in the soil and how hard the soil is, and then we do a lot of the forest road trapping. So in that instance, we're big on using drags. So they definitely have their place, but you have to think about what you're doing, have to be responsible how you use them, and if in doubt, try to get a stake in the ground, or don't set it, or make sure you use some really good heavy drag like this. So anyways, they definitely have a place on the trap line.
All right, we've got some basic mink handling, and there's not much grading here because everything's pretty nice, but just some general thoughts on these. Mink here, very nice handled, very well handled. One mistake that new fur handlers do on mink is kind of like they do on muskrats, is they want to remove that red membrane. That red membrane ideally needs to stay on there. The only time that you want to remove that is if there was a lot of fat underneath that membrane, which on occasion does happen, but not really very often. And so one suggestion on these mink right here is typically they want to pull the back feet, back legs onto the actual back of the stretcher, so you're going to actually wrap it around. The way these are done, this way mink have been put up for years and years, and there's nothing wrong with this. It's not going to affect them on the price, but generally I think the fur graders and NAFA would prefer that back leg actually be rolled around to the back side of the stretcher. You've got male mink, and there is an inspection window here. Obviously the males are generally about twice the size of the females. These are the females here, and this mink here is maybe just a little bit earlier caught. The tail's just showing a little bit of blue cast. Anyways, still very nice mink, all very nicely handled. One thing too, just like everything else, that fur's been was nice and dry when it was put on the stretcher, and combed out so that it looks as good as it can possibly look. You know, wild mink are one of those animals that for years and years would always bring a premium, and because of the ranch mink and the way the fur market is right now, you know, they're kind of taking the back seat, so they just don't have the value that they did at one time. You know, they were kind of always the sought after high-end fur, but unfortunately we're not really in that position with mink now, but they're still fun to catch and a challenge to catch. But anyways, the females, same thing. You want to leave the red membrane on. Here again, the back legs probably in the scheme of things would be preferred if they were rolled around and put on the back of the skin, but like I said, it's not going to affect the value. The observation window or grading window, you know, in place could actually be just a little bit bigger. Here again, the red membrane's been left on, very important. The front legs cut very short, just fine. One thing about this, over the years I've seen, you know, all these scenarios with the front legs left on, they tie them and all this and that. This is really much safer. The longer you leave those front legs on there, the more chances of you got that leg flopping down and hitting the actual skin. So then you've got skin against skin and it doesn't dry properly, and then it'll actually cause it to spoil. So this is really a safer way to handle these mink. Really handle anything that's got a front leg on it. So you don't want to ever put any borax, salt, or anything on these, like, or not salt, but borax on these like you would on maybe a fox or coyote, because it'll discolor the skin, and typically this kind of stuff does not go very well when some other agent is put on them. One thing about mink is they kind of want to turn a little bit yellow as the season progresses. That fat kind of oxidizes, I guess, and it wants to start turning yellow. So that mink will start looking a little bit stale. I don't know if you can see that in the camera or not, as compared to these right here. If the mink is within that season, that's not really an issue. But typically, fur that is held from one season to the next, in states where you're allowed to do that, you'll see a lot more of this type of yellowing and this goods start to look stale. But mink are one of the ones that want to move through, get to that point quicker than most skins, and this is definitely evidence of that. This mink was probably caught earlier in the fall. Really a nice mink. A lot of times you'll see the mink, the female mink, if they're really dark and silky, they'll bring as much, a lot of times, or darn close as to what the males may bring. So sometimes they have the finer quality over what the males, not as coarse. So anyways, that's just kind of a brief overview of mink, and hope it helps you out.
Thanks for watching this week, guys. And we got a catalog here, Hoosier Trapper Supply. You can phone in 317-881-3075. Call us, we'll send you one right away, or you can get on our website, HoosierTrapperSupply.com. Request on there, it's real easy, and it's got everything you need for your trapping goods, and even a little bit of deer scent. You might be able to track one of these guys down if you're lucky enough. But tune in next time, October 31st, for our Halloween edition.